Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Health Formula Show. Today's episode is one that I know so many of you are going to love. I personally love this topic so much. I'm so passionate about it. I could talk about it all day, every day. And by the way, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, remember that you can also watch this episode on YouTube. But before we dive in, if you missed last week's episode 384, I really encourage you to go back and listen. It was called Exhausted All the Time. It's not burnout. It's your body asking for help. And honestly, it's one of those episodes that ties directly into today's topic, because energy is not just about how you feel, in the moment. It's also a marker of longevity. So if you haven't listened yet, definitely check it out after this one. Now let's get into today's topic, because I've met so many people, both in my community and even in the health and fitness world, who are following diets or routines that they think are good for them, but in reality, they are slowly cutting years off their health span. I'm talking about people who stay up late, scrolling on their phones and say that, it's fine, doesn't matter because I'm still getting a 6 or 7 hours sleep. Or frankly, those who snack at midnight thinking that, oh my God, it's just almonds, it's just a handful of nuts or a little bit of yogurt, it's so healthy, it's okay. Or people who cut out all plants because they feel bloated, thinking the problem is chickpeas, when in reality, the problem is bacterial overgrowth in the gut. So they are shrinking their microbiome by cutting out all of these plants. Or even people exercising like crazy, think paddle, running, tennis, spinning, cycling, but doing nothing for their muscle mass. Now, the truth is that these habits, they might look harmless, but they are silently shaving years of your life. And that's why I wanted to record this episode, because it's time to bust some of these myths once and for all, and instead focus on what actual longevity experts and scientists all agree on. So if you've heard of the blue zones, for example, those are the areas in the world where people regularly live into their 90s and even hundreds, you'll know that the longest lived people on Earth, on the planet, are not doing extreme diets. They are not going crazy on their workouts or biohacks. They are living simply. They are focusing on the small daily habits that matter the most. And even modern longevity scientists agree with them. So today we are breaking down these 7 things every single longevity expert agrees on, plus the 5 habits they all warn against. And trust me, some of these will surprise you. So make sure that you stay until the end. The first one is sleep. And I'm sure that you've heard this before. But here's the thing, almost everyone thinks that they are the exception. Dr. Matthew Walker, the one who wrote Why We Sleep, has shown that poor sleep literally shortens your telomeres, those little caps at the ends of your DNA that determine how fast you age. Then Peter Attia says that sleep is the most single overlooked longevity tool. And yet I meet so many people, especially professionals, by the way, who brag about thriving on like 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Or they'll stay awake until like 1 a.m. working, but then they justify it because they still clocked in 7 hours. But the science is very clear. The time that you go to bed matters a lot because your circadian rhythm matters. And here's a common one: midnight snacking. And people say that it's just a handful of nuts or a little bit of yogurt with some granola, it's healthy. But eating before bed raises your blood sugar. It disrupts your deep sleep and it prevents your body from going into deep repair mode. And let's not even forget lifestyle habits. So for example, here in Dubai, you will see shisha cafes packed late at night, heavy restaurant meals at like 10 p.m., people going to bed at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning and then waking up feeling groggy. It's not just bad for productivity, by the way, it's really, really bad for longevity. So if you want to live longer, if you want to live healthier, start with just 7 to 9 hours of sleep and going to bed at a consistent time. Make your room dark, cool and quiet, and give your body the recovery that it needs. And number 2 is daily movement. Exercise is the closest thing that we have to an anti-aging pill. Dr. Peter Attia and Luigi Fontana both say it's the single most powerful intervention for longevity. But here's where most people go wrong, because some people are completely sedentary. They have a desk job all day, driving everywhere, barely walking 2,000 steps every day. And then they do one hard workout on the weekend, and then they wonder why they feel so tired afterwards or why they get injured. And then on the other side, you have the fitness crowd. They are smashing, HIIT training 6 to 7 days a week with no mobility, no recovery, and no balance. Now, neither of those approaches support longevity, by the way. Movement for longevity looks like this. Walking every single day, ideally minimum 8,000 steps every day, but ideally 10,000 steps. Strength training 2 to 3 times per week. Some cardio for heart health. Yes, you need the cardio as well. And mobility, meaning stretching, flexibility, all of that. Now, if you live somewhere like Dubai, which is where I live, you will notice how little walking most people do because of the heat, right? And driving everywhere. And that's why it's even more important to be very intentional about this. Go for evening walks, take the stairs, get your steps in, because really it's not optional. It's truly your life insurance. Number 3 is diet. And here's where a lot of people get confused, because you have experts like, for example, Walter Longo, that they argue about the details, sure, but they all agree in one thing. The longest lived people eat mostly plants. Plants give us fiber. Plants give us polyphenols, antioxidants, minerals, all of which lower inflammation levels and keep the microbiome diverse. But what do most people do? They eat chicken and broccoli every single day, or beef and rice every single day, no diversity. Then they try keto diets or carnivore diets because they've heard that protein is the key to health. And sure, these diets may help you lose weight very quick, or they might help you reduce bloating, but at what cost? That is a question that we all need to ask ourselves, because cutting plants is not fixing the problem. It's just literally putting a band-aid on a leaky pipe. Because if chickpeas, lentils, or pulses make you bloated, it's not because they are bad foods. It's because you likely have some sort of imbalance in your gut, like bacterial overgrowth in your gut. So the solution is to fix the guts. The solution is not to just remove the food. And let's be honest, because here in Dubai, for example, the brunch culture is very real. You have huge meals for breakfast, tons of dairy, maybe a small salad on the side, but barely any plant diversity. And for longevity, the goal is very simple. Eat mostly plants and eat a variety. I recommend aiming for 30 different plants every single week. That includes spices, beans, lentils, chickpeas, vegetables, fruits, all of that. And that is something that all longevity experts agree on. Number 4 is muscle mass. Build and maintain muscle, because muscle is what Dr. Gabrielle Lyon calls the organ of longevity. And Peter Attia says that muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you will live. Yet so many people forget about it, like runners, cyclists, paddle players, tennis lovers, all cardio, no strength training. And that is so detrimental. Women avoiding weights, for example, because they don't want to get bulky. Professionals who say, oh, I walk and I do a lot of yoga and Pilates, that's enough. That is not enough. Without muscle, you are more likely to fall. You are more likely to lose mobility. As you age, you are more likely to develop insulin resistance. And once you lose muscle in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, it's so much harder to get it back, by the way. So please don't neglect strength training, 2 to 3 sessions a week, and focus on the basics, on those compound movements, the squats, the deadlifts, the push, the pull. It's not about bodybuilding. It's about independence in your later years. Number 5 is chronic stress. That is one of the fastest ways to shorten your lifespan. Dr. Elisa, for example, who co-wrote The Telomere Effect, showed how stress literally cuts down your telomeres. But here's the thing, most people don't even realize they are stressed because stress has become the baseline. What does stress look like in daily life? Well, we have professionals relying on 5 coffees a day just to get through the day, to get through work. We have parents collapsing into bed after Netflix binge because they are way too wired to actually rest. People working 12-hour days, answering WhatsApp at midnight and just like never unplugging. And many people think that they are managing stress, with alcohol, a glass of wine every single night to quote unquote relax. But alcohol is not relaxing. By the way, it's not relaxing your body. It's actually adding to your toxic load. So what works? Well, anything that forces you to do almost nothing. So think meditation, breath work, journaling, time in nature, or even simply taking a walk without your phone, not with your headphones, listening to a podcast, or no, just going for a walk without your phone. If you look at the blue zones, they all have built-in ways to reduce stress, whether it's through prayer, through siestas, through eating with the family, without phones and technology and TV. That is a kind of resilience that we need to build. Number 6 is a very important one, and that is relationships. The Harvard study of adult development has been running for over 80 years. And do you know what the number one predictor of health and happiness is? It's not cholesterol, it's not blood pressure, it's not diet, it's the quality of your relationships. And yet we are living in a loneliness epidemic. So many people are working remotely. They are isolated all day. Think, for example, where I live in Dubai, so many expats in Dubai constantly moving in and out of the city. Friendships end before they even deepen. Or people that spend all of their energy tracking their macros, tracking their steps, tracking their workouts, but they don't invest in human connection. And the truth is that loneliness is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, by the way. And if you look at the blue zones, one thing stands out a lot: the community. They eat together. They dance together. They take care of each other. So if you want to live longer, if you want to live long, healthy, and well, don't just focus on food and exercise. Pick up the phone, spend time with family, make friendships a priority. When I say pick up the phone, I mean, pick up the phone and call family member, call a friend, not scroll down on Instagram, because connection is medicine. And finally, number 7, minimize toxins. Dr. Joseph, for example, and Dr. Dale, they have shown how environmental toxins, they accelerate aging, they damage your mitochondria, they increase the risk of chronic disease. But let's look at real life, because most people are wearing perfume every single day without realizing that they are spraying endocrine disruptors directly on the skin. And that is extremely detrimental for your health. They drink water from plastic bottles. And in the heat, like for example, Dubai, those bottles are literally leaching chemicals. And then you're drinking water with plastics, which is extremely toxic for your nervous system. The deodorants full of aluminium and synthetic fragrances. They eat quote unquote healthy protein bars or energy drinks loaded with artificial sweeteners and additives. And socially, alcohol, right? For example, that's everywhere. But these habits, they quietly accelerate aging, even if you feel fine, quote unquote fine, because longevity is not about being perfect. It's about reducing the daily toxic burden wherever you can. So choose glass or stainless steel, switch to natural deodorant, fill your plate with organic cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. Sweat it out through exercise or sauna and keep your detox pathways moving. And now before we wrap up, let me give you the quickfire list of the 5 habits every expert agrees that will shorten your life. Number 1 is smoking. Still one of the most damaging things that you can do for your health. Number 2, alcohol. Even just 1 glass a night, that accelerates aging big time. Number 3, sleep deprivation. Binge watching Netflix until 2 a.m. You are trading years of life for a TV show. Number 4, ultra processed foods, even if they are labeled as healthy or keto. Chips, packaged snacks, fast food deliveries, they destroy the microbiome and they fuel inflammation. And number 5, a sedentary lifestyle. Long commutes, desk jobs, barely moving. Sitting is truly the new smoking. So let's recap. The top 7 things longevity experts agree on are: prioritize sleep, move every single day, eat mostly plants, build and maintain muscle, manage stress, build strong social connections, and minimize toxins. And then what are the 5 worst habits? Smoking, alcohol, sleep deprivation, ultra-processed foods, and being sedentary. Now, notice how simple these are. They are not about extreme diets, fancy biohacks, or the latest supplement. They are about small daily actions. And when you look at the blue zones, that is exactly how they live. Because longevity isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's simply about consistency. It's about focusing on the little things that matter most. So if you are ready to put these principles into action, make sure to check out the Synergize app, where we've built in the recipes, the workouts, the meditations, the practical tools, all of that to support every single one of these longevity pillars. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. And before you go, take a moment to acknowledge yourself for wanting to become the healthiest version of yourself. Before you head off, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a weekly episode. We cover everything from functional medicine to gut health, to hormones, to weight loss, to skin health, to natural beauty, you name it. All of the topics that truly matter. And if there's something that you would love me to cover, just drop it in the comments below. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.